I am Jim Collison, and this is the Wellbeing at Work with CliftonStrengths podcast recorded on March 17th, 2022. In this CliftonStrengths podcast, we'll look at the strengths, insight, and action planning items from Appendix 1 in the Gallup book, Wellbeing at Work, one theme at a time, and today's theme is Maximizer. If you're listening live, join us in the chat room. There's a link right above me, right up there, that you can join us in the chat. If you have questions after the fact, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jacqueline Robinson is our host today. She works as a Gallup Learning and Development Consultant and was the primary contributor in Appendix 1 or for Appendix 1 in the Wellbeing at Work book. And Jacqueline, always great to be with you, even on an early morning. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's dive in. This is a theme we've got. It's gotten a lot of run, so I think we've got a lot of things to say today. But how do we define Maximizer?
We define Maximizer as a focus on strengths as a way to stimulate personal and group excellence. They seek to transform something strong into something superb.
Yeah, and in my case, something strong into something more. Like I can't do one. I got to do 5. I can't eat just 2 cookies. I have to eat them all. So just be really clear about that. When we look at this, when we look at Maximizer, let's talk about how it relates to you and how it might relate to others.
If I think about how it relates to you, maximizers tend to have an intuitive sense of their potential, and they exercise it to bring forth that highest return on investment for the role they're in, the hobbies and interests they pursue, whatever it might be. They just have this natural sense of, this is what I'm great at. Let me continue to cultivate it. How it relates to others, people appreciate that maximizers spot their potential and encourage them to pursue those natural talents. And they would even really thrive when they're working with high performers where they can take their talents from great to world class.
I love that. When in my 40s, I started running and I ran a 10K, and then I thought, I could probably run a half marathon. So I ran a half marathon. I thought I probably could run a marathon. Then I ran a marathon. Then I ran 5. That's the maximizer progression for me. It's never enough, right?
Yeah.
It's always like, we could do. And I always say, I think Maximizer has both a quality and a quantity component, right? And I think oftentimes we focus on the quality piece, but I think that the quantity gets to the quality because it's one of those things, right, that gets us this opportunity to do more, to be more efficient, to be more effective, to get more done in that case.
Yes. And I'm glad you called that out too, because we do focus a lot on quality, but
we do.
You're always polishing. You constantly just polishing and making it better and better and better.
Well, and the drive was a time. Like I was running for a time to get better. That's a quality, but it took quantity to get there. It took the practice. It took the effort. It took the repetition to do it. Right. I had to stay in the game. I had to stay consistent. I had to, I have flashbacks from my wife says she was a marathon widower during those days. Pretty crazy. Well, it was, listen, we're talking about well-being and thriving versus struggling, but that was good for my well-being during those times, to stay fit, to be pushing towards a goal, to be in a really, really healthy culture. The running culture can be a healthy culture. When we think about Maximizer, that was for me. When we think about it when we think about it thriving versus struggling, what do those two look like?
Thriving, I think about doing what you do best every day while also working with others who take pride in their work. You may also naturally gravitate towards friends and family who cultivate their potential versus being around coworkers or friends and family that just aren't exercising it. You just go, I want to be surrounded by others that are also interested in investing in their talent, cultivating it, exceeding the bar. And then in terms of struggling, working in a position that doesn't play to your talents, if we think about the workplace, that can be a big struggle. Also working with or around others who are poor performers, and I can't say that word, poor performers, and don't want to cultivate their potential. So again, going back to coworkers, family, or friends, that can be a significant struggle.
Yeah, it is. I was a role. I was a software developer for a while. I wrote PL SQL code. I wasn't very good at it, and it was. Yeah, I wanted to
It's
be good at it.
tough.
Oh, I so wanted to be good. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so for 3 or 4 years, I really struggled to, I wanted again, the talent just wasn't there to get it done, and
Mhm.
it was a struggle at times. I did form relationships and folks that could help me, and then I could help them in other things, and so
Mhm.
by the time we got done with that, it worked out really, really well. But just pure development, I just wasn't very good at it, and so I was really struggling for a while there. I mean, it caused some well-being struggle for
It's
me.
hard, isn't it? Because you just you recognize that no matter
Yeah,
how much you try to practice it, the return on
yeah.
investment isn't going to be
You're just
high. So
yeah.
that's just frustrating. Just makes you
Yeah.
mad.
I'm never gonna dunk a basketball. Let's just be really clear about that, right?
Yeah.
That's never gonna happen no matter how much I practice. We in the back of the book in appendix 1, we've got this kind of broken out by one of the elements. All 5 of them are there, but, with this element maximizer, what do you have for us today?
Physical well-being.
Ooh.
So when this person enters a gym, they are going to look for ways to improve their routine as well as everyone else's. They will pursue the best exercise and fitness plans for their needs and will push good workout partners to be better. So if you
I'm
have those workout partners, you probably noticed it too, those in the audience that have maximizer. If you're in the gym, you're
Mhm.
like, their form's wrong. They could do this better if I could just tweak it. But we also do that potentially with friends.
The you yes, we no, we always do that with friends. That's the
I was
thing.
trying to be. This
You
is
get in the
true.
fitness center, right? You're like, "Oh, we could do this. Hey, could you do more of these? Can we
Yeah.
have a challenge?" A little different. Somebody had mentioned in the chat room about maybe high competition too, and I don't have high competition, but there is a like maximizer in this sense can sometimes be that journey. We just talked about this with learner, the
Hmm.
journey instead of the output. I mean, the output's great, right? But the journey to get, I enjoyed the journey of it way more. Now I'm a social, like, there's a lot of woo and communication in there.
Hmm.
But I think sometimes with maximizer, the joy can be in the journey of making it better as opposed to just being better, right? How did
Hmm.
we get there? What were the steps that took to make this process better or make this process more, right? And so I think don't get lost in that maximizers that there can be joy in the journey on
Hmm.
this. And so just like you're talking about, I mean, fitness is an easy way to do this, but that can be done in any of those community or social elements of well-being too, of making the groups around us better. Just
Hmm.
a just
Make them
just a thought.
shine.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
we also have 4 other elements that, Jacqueline has put together, for us there in the book, and if you wanna get access to those, Well-Being at Work, Appendix 1, and some great tools to use while you're coaching or just for your own personal coaching if you're looking at yourself. Jacqueline, when we think about Maximizer, how can we use this to support others?
Well, if you're a manager or leading a team, you recognize the potential in your team members and have that natural ability to look for regular opportunities to match their talent to task. This engages them and it furthers their development. So remember that and continue to invest in that. It's just that natural lens you have. If you're on a team, people can depend on you to take an almost finished project and give it that polished finishing touch. And then as an individual, I always think about this quote from supposedly Tim Duncan. You know, quotes are always taken by somebody. But he says, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And that is just maximizer through and through. But I think there's also times when you could take the pressure off. Maybe have accountability partners to say, what you've done is you've
Mhm.
already put out excellence. Give it a rest, take a little bit of a break, but it's really hard. It's really hard for maximizers. But I
Mhm.
just love that quote. I think that really resonates with a lot of folks that have maximizer.
Mhm. Mhm. Indeed, yeah, and I was, as you were, thinking, or as you were saying that, I was thinking about that and when you're on a team and the ability to use Maximizer to drive this team towards both quality or quantity goals in
Hmm.
getting things done. Hey, I have this happens to me all the time when I'm working with groups. We'll be talking about something and I'll be like, "Hey, if we did it this way, we could get or we could do it better, or it could look better, it could be better, right, from that.
Hmm.
drives some people crazy because there's some ideation built into that thing as well.
Mhm.
But right, some folks will get a little bit of pushback. You know what? We just need to get started on this thing, or we don't have
Yeah.
time. Yeah, that's another pushback I think maximizers hear sometimes. There isn't time to do it that well, right? Or
Mhm.
to do that much of it. And
Yes.
yeah,
That's where those accountability partners come in, don't they?
I think
Because it's
so.
such a
I think
blessing
so. Yeah.
when it's that sorter theme that can help sort between the best ideas or the best way of maybe getting something done. But if time is of the essence, sometimes you do need that person
It's always a
to help you
balance,
pull back.
right?
Mhm.
It's always a balance. In Appendix 2, we have
It
a
is.
framework, a really simple framework as we think through this. By these each one of these elements, walk us through those frameworks.
Sure. So ask yourself, which of my strengths will I use today?
Mm,
Ask your team members, of all the things you do well in your job, which ones do you do best?
mm,
And take action. Identify the parts of your role that fulfill you the most and look for opportunities to do them more often. And share that out with your manager and colleagues so that they can also continue to find those opportunities
mm.
for you.
It's really important why this best of me exercise is so important in what we do. You get the best of me when, and I think this
Mhm.
is a great. I mean, yeah, it fits nicely into this conversation we're having about maximizers, but I think it's also an important conversation to have frequently with your teams or
Mhm.
frequently with those that you work with, to just say, hey, right now, I mean, how great would it be to have a 2-minute conversation at the beginning of the day that says, today you get the best of me when I've gotten a little rest.
Yes.
Right?
A little more coffee in my cup to fight
Yeah,
daylight savings time and late
just
nights.
just to check in, to be like, hey, here's where I am today, and actually I'm
Mhm.
feel because in a week you may feel there may be different things you're tuned into during the week. Like in the beginning of the
Yeah.
week, I'm on fire for processes. By Friday, I don't want to look at another process, right?
Mhm.
So there may even be best of me times of the week to remind the folks that you work with, you're getting the best of me right now in
Yes.
this, right?
Yes. I like
Um,
that time piece. We think about time sometimes by day. I'm going to be my most creative in the morning, but to even break it down by week,
right.
where I
Yeah.
really like that
Yeah. Yeah.
that idea.
Just a thought as we think through this. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that could be added to every conversation you're having in that. So,
I do
well,
too.
Jacqueline, anything else you want to wrap it up with?
No, I think you took it home as just thinking for those that have maximizer, you might naturally be thinking about when you might be at your best, but it's helpful for everyone to be thinking about when are you at your best? Have you shared that with other folks? Um, so thank you for taking us there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we do have available now in Gallup Access. Head out to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. Sign in. Lots of things there. Explore it. I hear a lot of
Mhm.
people say, I can't. There's a lot. There's so many. Well, the great way to discover things is go take the journey.
Go
Walk
down
it,
that
walk
rabbit
through it,
hole.
find some things. Yeah, for sure. For coaching, master coaching, or become a Gallup certified strengths coach, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Stay up to date on everything that we do with webcasts, and I've got a bunch of them out there. So if you're not signed up and
Cool.
following us on Eventbrite, gallup.eventbrite.com, including, although Jacqueline, we're coming to like when you think of the 34 themes, it seems like you're in the A's, the C's, and the I's
Mhm.
forever, right? And then all of a sudden
Yes.
you hit learner and you're done. Like, woof. So we're
Yes.
right because it just goes
Yes.
LMST, boom, you're done. Well, woo. I mean, it's the best theme. That's why we say we save the best for last. But it's going to go pretty fast. You can join us if
Well,
you haven't been joining us for these live. You might want to gallup.eventbrite.com to do that. And of course, if you found them helpful, we'd ask that you'd share them. Thanks for listening today. We'll do a little bit of post show with those that are around live. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.
ciao.